Ladies and gentlemen, this is extremely interesting, and Democrats have entered a new phase of the Twilight Zone. They've entered a new realm. They actually want, and you're hearing this in media, they want Chief Justice John Roberts, who will preside over the Senate trial, to be impartial and kind of force the White House to force witnesses and force McConnell to allow witnesses like Don McCann and John Bolton and Mulvaney and other witnesses they want. They want the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court to be an impartial actor and side with them. Get it? Anyway, by the way, check out my latest segment on H.A. Goodman's other channel. It will be below in the pinned comment. It's a celebration of President Trump. The Senate confirming under the Trump administration close to 200 federal judges. Check it out. It's a celebration of the Bill of Rights. You must check out my latest segment on H.A. Goodman's other channel. It is below in the pinned comment. Anyway, this is an article written in The Hill by a gentleman who wants a fair Senate trial from the perspective of the Democratic Party. So, the founders of our country said that in cases of impeachment, the Chief Justice is to preside, and they must have had something in mind. So, Chief Justice John Roberts, do your constitutional duty and preside over the trial by taking a hand in resolving the partisan impasse and breathing justice, due process, and fairness into the rules of engagement. Then let the trial begin. Okay, prior to that, you get... It is no answer to say that the House had the opportunity to present this evidence before it impeached. This was the argument of George Washington University law professor Jonathan Turley, called as an expert witness by Republicans before the House Judiciary Committee. He said there might have been impeachable offenses accomplished by Trump's conduct, but it was too early to tell. Yet under the Constitution, the House is an accusatory body. It need not have all the evidence. It merely must be satisfied as it was that it had enough evidence to impeach. Grand juries frequently indict based on hearsay. Prosecutors often feel they don't have all that is knowable at the time of indictment before the grand jury, but they indict anyway, like Kamala Harris did when she withheld exculpatory evidence great number of times. But anyway, this is all public record. Defense lawyers may argue that they want this, Defense lawyers may argue all they want that this is indictment light. But in such instances, if prosecutors choose to go to trial, they are never precluded from offering additional evidence to establish guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay. So it goes on, founders James Madison and Alexander Hamilton were wise enough to put a brake on the awesome powers of the president with the impeachment clause. They entrusted the House with the sole power of accusation and the elite Senate with the sole power to try the case. The president is not supposed to serve at the pleasure of the Senate, but he may be removed from office on impeachment for conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. This is an article in The Hill. Justice for all in impeachment impasse is in Chief Justice's hands. Then you get a Vanity Fair article. Could Chief Justice Roberts be the Democrats' impeachment savior? Then it goes on to say, the Chief Justice has the power to rule on objections to evidence, saying, for example, that certain testimony is irrelevant, but even that power is limited. A majority of the Senate can overrule a Chief Justice, and any single senator has the power to demand that a vote be taken on any given ruling by the chief. For that reason, Roberts is unlikely to be, much as his mentor, Chief Justice William Rehnquist was during the Clinton impeachment, little more than a ceremonial presence deciding. So that's very likely, he's just going to be a ceremonial presence, but they want him. The contrast between a typical criminal trial and... So this article is saying he should do more, but he probably won't. And what will go on in the Senate can best be understood by considering the matters of subpoenas. Under the federal rules for criminal and civil procedure, in a normal trial, any party may issue a subpoena in the name of the court. Okay, witnesses who believe the subpoena is invalid for some reason can petition the trial judge not to enforce it. Well, okay, here's the issue, though. It goes on to talk about the Senate, the trial, and all of. So here's the background, and here's why this is all nonsense. When you have one gentleman writing in The Hill, oh, well, grand juries indict in large part based on hearsay a lot of the times. Well, that's not supposed to happen. There's supposed to be evidence. You can't convict a person based solely on hearsay. The hearsay or the gossip has to correspond with actual evidence, DNA samples, whatever. Then you have to have a crime, okay? You don't have to be a lawyer to understand this. There needs to be a crime. Now, simply saying that Trump withheld military assistance is not a crime. Your opinion, the opinion and the viewpoint of millions of people, apparently, on the Democratic Party side, and a whole bunch of scholars, is that it's obvious that he withheld military assistance because he was afraid of Biden. Really? Now, is it obvious, by the way? This is a International Business Times article from David Sirota. Clinton Foundation donors got weapons deals from Hillary Clinton's State Department. Well, the headline should read from President Obama's State Department. It wasn't Clinton's State Department. She worked within President Obama's administration. Under Clinton's leadership, the State Department approved $165 billion worth of commercial arms sales to 20 nations whose governments have given money to the Clinton Foundation. That figure derived from the 3 full fiscal years of Clinton's term as Secretary of State, from October 2010 to September 2012, represented nearly double the value of American arms sales made to those countries and approved by the State Department during the same period of President Bush's second term. Okay, the Clinton-led State Department also authorized $151 billion of separate Pentagon broker deals for 16 of the countries that donated to the Clinton Foundation, really resulting in a 143% increase in completed sales to those nations over the same time frame during the Bush administration. Okay, these extra sales were part of a broad increase in American military exports that accompanied Obama's arrival in the White House. That's bizarre. The 143% increase in the U.S. arms sales to the Clinton the 143% increase in U.S. arms sales to Clinton Foundation donors compared to an 80% increase in such sales to all countries over the same time period. You have almost approaching a double the increase. Okay, now we can go on forever. So the correlation, did they impeach President Obama? Because the figures are right there. The money flowed into the Clinton Foundation, and those countries received exponentially greater arms sales, or far great, almost double the percentage that Bush that they were able to acquire under the Bush administration, a Republican hawkish administration run by neoconservative advocates. Okay, so the money into the Clinton Foundation had no influence over President Obama's administration and his foreign policy? And we can go on forever. You can scrutinize every conflict of interest pertaining to foreign policy. So the Clinton Foundation and the weapons deals story, that's an obvious, that is more of an impeachable offense right then and there than President Trump's phone call withholding military assistance because he was afraid a year down the line that Biden could win. This is a neuroses within the minds of Democrats. You're talking about, they're saying that's bribery. No, the bribe actually is money. The bribe is money into the Clinton Foundation and receiving a greater arms deal. That is the actual bribe, but they don't view it that way. Under President Obama's administration, here, this is foreign policy, foreignpolicy.com. Obama cuts foreign assistance to several countries in new budget request. February 14, 2011. Okay? You can go on and you can then paint a picture and say, my goodness, why is he cutting assistance? Does it have something to do with the Clinton Foundation? And how come countries that gave to the Clinton Foundation, their assistance wasn't cut? You can look and you can include the complete elimination of foreign assistance and military training to several countries. The complete elimination. So President Obama is able to go ahead and do whatever he likes without scrutiny. Trump can't even have a phone call without getting impeached. The key here is that when you're talking about the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and you're talking about a quote-unquote fair Senate trial, and you're talking about, they're entitled to more evidence. The House only needs to accuse. There needs to be a crime associated with what took place. There was no crime. Just like technically there was no criminal act when money flowed into the Clinton Foundation, and then weapons deals miraculously were exponentially greater to the countries that donated, or the people gave $156 million into the Clinton Foundation, 85 donors, and then they met. They met with Clinton. That's according to the Associated Press. Okay, so that's okay? There's no conflicts of interest. There's no quid pro quo there. Technically, there's no evidence of any, there's no letter that's signed, but you have extremely suspicious occurrences that just happen to benefit Clinton because the Clinton Foundation received hundreds of millions of dollars in each event. But they don't view it that way. With Trump, they paint this figure, this. So that's obvious bribery. And technically, you would have to prove through an email. But guess what? She deleted 33,000 yoga emails. Yeah. She used private servers that nobody had access to. Oh, God, that's funny how that happens. That's funny how that happens. Okay? If Trump deleted 30,000 emails years before, that had to do with the Ukraine, years before he withheld the assistance, well, okay, he withheld the assistance. That would be very suspicious, but he withheld the assistance because of corruption. He wanted to make sure the money went to the government and not into the hands of oligarchs or officials. If you don't believe it, too bad. You have to prove that he actually. You have to prove that he actually, number one, was afraid of Biden, and number two, that he withheld the military assistance for the purpose of interfering in the election, and number three, you have to prove that he didn't have that there were no other reasons other than the election to withhold the military assistance. So, for example, the big issue is that there are conflicts of interest with Biden and his son. So much so that Rudy Giuliani has sworn affidavits from the prosecutor who was fired saying they're all crooked and they can prove it. Oh, but what was that in the Hill? Grand juries often indict on hearsay. Well, this isn't just hearsay. It's a sworn affidavit. Well, I guess you could say it's hearsay. But linked to documents and money flows. Okay, so now where are we going with this? They're barking up the wrong tree as usual. It all points to Biden. Clinton is going to be nominee because Clinton benefits from this. Now, you look at swing state voters, and they're not happy with any of this, okay? They're not happy with any of this. The Washington Post, Americans are divided. Not really. Battleground state polls show a more negative reaction to the impeachment inquiry, signaling, this is the Washington Post, signaling more risk to Democrats and potential benefit for Trump. An average of 44% supported an impeachment, with 51% opposed. Average across a dozen October and November polls in Arizona, Florida. I love how they say Arizona's a swing state. It's not going blue. Not going white. Kristen Sinema barely became senator. Florida, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Nevada, New Hampshire, North Carolina, Wisconsin. Okay, that's a flip from the national average. So the national average is skewed because of New York and California. Who cares? 51% oppose impeachment. And then you have another 53% opposed impeachment in Arizona, Florida, Michigan, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. And you have independents who oppose impeachment. So nobody is for this. Absolutely nobody's for this. There hasn't been a crime committed. There are events that have taken place that if you spin the events, yes, it's suspicious, isn't it? Well, he's really afraid of Biden. No, Biden is only... Democrats can't possibly admit that they have a political machine based on public relations. Okay, Warren and Bernie were never viable. Bernie could have won in 2016 if he fought, but they cheated him. So, I mean, theoretically, if he fought and he said, you know what, I'm not, you don't nominate me, I'm fighting, they still probably wouldn't have let him win. But he would have come into 2020 with, a strong base of support from people who, whatever, who cares? The whole point is they cheated Bernie. They're not going to let him, they were never going to let him win. Elizabeth Warren is there. Everyone else is either dropped out or has no chance. And you have only Biden, the no malarkey bus tour. See this shirt? I'm still with her is still a thing. On Twitter. Hashtag no malarkey isn't a thing. So, Clinton has a base of support. She has rabid, maniacal fans, supporters. The I'm with her crowd crushes any dissent. They're the ones who run the Democratic Party. Okay, Bernie Sanders supporters is true. I used to be the biggest Bernie booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post, and the other one is a Huffington, but whatever. The whole point is, I wrote 100 articles before I became a Trump supporter, saying that only Bernie could win. And if you look at the pinned comment right below my latest H.A. Goodman other channel segment, check that one, it's pretty awesome, is NPR quotes me and Nate Silver in 2015. Guess who was right? I said Clinton couldn't win because of swing states. She was unelectable. Favorability ratings. Swing states. Anyway, I was right. Nate Silver said that Trump wouldn't be GOP nominee. That's in the NPR article. If you want to give me a Christmas present, you could support my Patreon link. It's below in the pinned comment. You could subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. You could subscribe to this channel. You could share my segments. You could watch the ads. But you can also, which would be fantastic, just share that NPR article. It's below in the pinned comment. Do H.A. Goodman a favor and share that NPR article talking about his prediction in 2015. Anyway, Nancy, we're waiting for the articles of impeachment. So don't we don't want you to strain yourself. Take time and just give us the articles of impeachment before the Messiah comes. All right, thank you so much. Mitch McConnell out. I just didn't feel it that time. Anyway, there needs to be a crime. There was no crime committed. You can't. They keep saying have a fair Senate trial. We don't have to prove everything in the House. He didn't prove anything in the House. Mulvaney literally stated the only thing he heard from Trump is Sondland. The only thing he heard from Trump is I want no quid pro quo. And then he says, well, but everybody knew he really wanted a quid pro quo. Then you have Bill Taylor, who said he never heard anything from Trump and doesn't have any firsthand knowledge. Okay. Then you have another impeachment witness that said he didn't hear from Trump, but he heard Trump yelling from the phone, and then they tried to duplicate that in CNN. It was a hilarious debacle. Embarrassment, as always. Then there was the impeachment witness, Marie Yovanovitch, who said, oh, yeah, the Obama administration gave us talking points. That's right. Regarding Hunter Biden. That's just my Hunter Biden. Anyway, and then you have Dr. Fiona Hill, who was like, oh, yeah, the Ukraine, they didn't want Trump. But then she said, it was confirmed by the intelligence community. The intelligence community has been wrong on everything. You can just wrong on everything, from the Bay of Pigs to the Gulf of Tonkin to the fall of the Berlin Wall to Bush's and Cheney and Rumsfeld's endless quagmires, catastrophes to Facebook ads. They not only have they been wrong on everything, they've always said, well, we tried. The intelligence failure, Rumsfeld and Cheney just, destroyed the planet. It wasn't our fault. We tried. We just tried. Too bad. You ruined millions of people's lives. You tried to ruin the lives of a great many Americans who sacrificed greatly, who gave their lives, families who will never be the same because Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld believed these imbeciles within the intelligence community. Oh, they're so great. We should revere them. No, not really. Not at all. Not at all. Give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right this second. They want to get John Roberts to help them out. They're not going to get John Roberts to help them out because John Roberts, there's no crime here. There's literally no crime. And if there's a crime here, there are endless crimes during President Obama's administration because they did the same thing, but actually even more incriminating. Trump doesn't care about Biden. He laughs at Biden. He's not going to withhold military assistance because he's worried about interfering in the next election. And if Biden deserves to be investigated, then so be it. Too bad. Don't go into 2020 pretending you want to elect somebody, the No Malarkey bus tour, if they're crooked. Too bad. Give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel. Great segment. It's a celebration of the Bill of Rights. Great segment. That's below in the pinned comment. Thank you.